What is up, y'all? Will here with Schedulefly, and this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast brought to you by us here at Schedulefly. Super simple, web-based restaurant employee and communication software backed by legendary customer service and all at a low price point. If you were on pencil and paper or Excel or Google Sheets, make life easier for everybody from the owner to the manager to the teammates who love having their schedules at their fingertips. Um, we have a 30-day free trial. You can go to schedulefly.com. You will find my personal cell phone number on like 3 pages, and you can call it, and you're going to get me here on my flip phone, or you can text it. Happy to talk to you about Schedulefly anytime. If you're on another scheduling software, you may love it. You may also be paying a lot more money than you need to just to schedule and communicate and forecast labor. We're a bootstrap business. We started this company in 2007, bootstrapped it, have never raised prices in 18 years, and just take great care of our customers and provide a simple solution. So give us a shot, schedulefly.com. That is enough about Schedulefly. Let's get into Restaurant Owners Uncorked, episode, I don't know, we're getting close to 650 now. And I get an opportunity to get to know Jacob Sessoms today, who's a friend of a friend up in Asheville. And Jacob, thank you for joining, man. Just take a second and introduce yourself.
Good morning. Thanks very much. Yeah, my name is Jacob Sessoms. I've been in the food and beverage business, gosh, 26 years. Almost entirely in Asheville. Not born and raised here, but been here many years. So been pretty dedicated to it for a long time. Happy to be on here this morning.
Dude, you must have started young. You don't look like you've been in the hospitality, but 26 years in the hospitality industry is you should look a lot older, dude.
Yeah, health and wellness is my primary concern.
Okay, good. We're going to get into that then. So where were you born, first of all?
Where I was born is of little consequence. I was born in Iowa, but only in passing through because my dad was in chiropractic school, but
okay,
familial issues got in the way. And my dad rapidly moved back to Nashville. My family's mostly based in Nashville. I grew up in Nashville.
You grew up in Nashville.
I moved here to Asheville after high school to go to college.
Okay, and you've just planted your roots there, been there ever since?
No, I went to culinary school and started my food and beverage career in New York.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I was an electrician for a few years in Asheville as a young adult, and then my wife and primary business partner and I moved to New York in the early 2000s for a while. So.
And that's how you got when you first really dove into hospitality full time?
No, if we want to talk about that, I got out of college. I have an art degree and an English degree, but I went to Warren Wilson here in Asheville area. And
yeah.
Warren Wilson's the best part of Warren Wilson College is the work program. It's kind of why I went there. It's kind of like a hippie party summer camp with college kind of adjacent. But I spent the work program is really, I think, the most advantageous part of that school. So okay. I spent time learning auto mechanics, but I spent the bulk of my time in my 4 years at Warren Wilson running electrical crews, which is really cool. We, especially back then, I don't think they do it much now, but back then they were still, any building that happened on campus was overseen by a few tradesmen that held their contractor's license. So my supervisor, my mentor, was an electrical contractor, and he would the contractors that were employed by Warren Wilson pulled all the building permits. So we did all the work start to finish, whether it was service and repair or whether it was new build. So I got out of Warren Wilson not only with a traditional liberal arts degree, but also with the background and know-how to walk right into the construction business. And so I was early in my early 20s. I worked as an electrician here in Asheville and then launched my first electrical company when I was 23, did that for a few years. But kind of like, honestly, I woke up one day. I won't say woke up, but I woke up to the world around me one day when I
Yeah.
was on my back in a crawl space running wire in a shitty trailer and was like, what, this is not what I want to do with my life. And I already knew that my passion was cooking and feeding people. And so I kind of just went home and told my then wife, like, this isn't going to work. We got to do something different. Um, and we launched on a kind of a year-long journey. She was teaching high school. We had young children. I had children very young, so I did start very young. She was teaching high school. We had two young kids at home, but we launched on a year of traveling around the country and visiting culinary schools and feeling out cities. And because we wanted it to kind of be our next adventure, like, I want to go to culinary school. I know this is what I want to do. Let's go somewhere that seems like it could be cool to live for a few years. And we would, once a month, we'd take a trip somewhere and visit a culinary school and hang out in a town or a city for a little while. And I thought at that point that I wanted it to be the South. I'm born and raised, and I love the South. But I didn't really find a home in any of the schools we visited around the Southeast. And I didn't really, I don't know. I didn't vibe at that point with the big schools, whether that be California Culinary Institute or CIA. I did visit them, and it was more than I was really interested in. I already had a college degree. I didn't want to go do a 2 year in school kind of program. And I found after visiting CIA, we were in the city hanging with some friends, and I found the French Culinary Institute, and just immediately was like, okay, this is it. It was a professional level school taught by really top name French chefs at the time. That was like 2000 ish when I was making that decision. Jacques Pepin and Jacques Torres led the pastry department, and he hasn't built quite the same name for himself. Back in the early 2000s, he moved from like hotel pastry chef across international spots to launching a chocolate company. Honestly, I don't even know where he stands now. But back in those days, he had a decent name in the chocolate and pastry world. We all know who Jacques Pepin is. The big thing about French Culinary Institute is it was a professional level program. It was all practical. It was all lab kitchen work. No classrooms. There wasn't a day in a classroom. Um, it wasn't. I wasn't going to school to take tests and get a grade. I was going to school to learn how to cook in a kitchen.
Yeah.
And so I signed up to do both the 6 month intensive pastry and then followed that with the 6 month intensive culinary. Immediately got a job cooking and chefing in New York. Honestly, New York was fucking awesome and super easy to move up in. There's a million restaurants, and there's like everywhere else, there's 15% of people working in them are great and driven, and the other 85% are there as a stopover. So going into New York City restaurants and having a chef or a manager look at my resume and see 3 or 5 years of construction and applying for a line cook job. I had the same experience in every restaurant I got a job in New York. Day 4, the chef or the owner or the GM would come over to me and be like, "Hey, you mind bringing tools tomorrow?"
I knew that was fun.
I was like, "Sure, I suppose. What do you need?" And they're like, "Well, we've never been able to get this plug to work right, and this light doesn't work. This refrigerator never works." And so, I mean, I really got my foot into doors that way, which was really cool. I never would have assumed that much. Uh,
Yeah.
but that experience has informed my entire career, to be honest. And like, I recognize and am so fucking grateful for that because it has the ability to do shit and fix shit and um, has really been the backbone of how I've built my career.
Dude. God, today more than ever, what a valuable skill set, right? I mean, goodness, you've got millions and millions of kids graduating with 4-year degrees that are not technical, that a lot of times the jobs that they would have thought they would have had a few years ago are being replaced by AI. And meanwhile, we're down like 7 million technical jobs, and like we don't have the resources and to find. I mean, imagine working in a restaurant now with that background. Like you could just say, here's how much you're going to have to pay me, basically. I mean, because it's impossible to find somebody, everything's delayed. What a cool freaking backstory, dude. You were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my first son was born when I was 21, and it
Okay.
was really shit or get off the pot. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
truly, my Alicia, who's my primary business partner, she and we do everything together. We've been divorced, separated for 7 years, but we still do everything together business wise. When she came to me and said she was pregnant, I was like, we're doing this. I'm just like, that's just life. Like life gives you something, you fucking go for it, period. That's my input.
Huge respect, bro. Huge respect for that. Because a lot of 21-year-old men would be like, no way. We
My
can
own.
take, we can take care of this, or I'm out of here, or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
you owned
Yeah.
and took accountability, and that is a massive, uh, it gives you a massive advantage, I think, in life. It
Dude,
just
100%. I look back now and I mean, as hard as it was when I was 24, as hard as it was, A, to be taken seriously
right.
as a fucking kid trying to be a grown man. But like, I wouldn't be where I am. I'm 49 and like, I, I'm fucking lucky. Look, dude, I am so grateful for everything that I have been able to accomplish. And I mean, we can get into like how I opened my first restaurant and where it went from there and all that stuff. But and I'm sure we will. But the world, God, the universe gives us a path, and if we can choose to walk down it or we can not. And like, I'm just so grateful for the path that's been put in front of me. And don't not to take away from like my own endeavor to do it or anybody's own endeavor to walk down their path and choose their way forward. But like, truly, you can choose to do or not do.
We will get into that, Jacob, but like I said, we kind of flow like water on here, and I even want to get into health and wellness as well. I mean, this like there's no, there's no agenda for these podcast episodes. We talk to people that own restaurants about what's important to them and their story and what they love. But man, so part of your journey, and I'm guessing that the things that when you talk about gratitude, you're counting the challenges is part of that.
Yeah. We've Alicia and I have used the same accountant pretty much our entire business career, 20 years. And the first time, I don't know, maybe 2 years into our first restaurant, we got audited and got smacked with like at that time it was like a $14,000 audit. And at that time was just like devastating, like devastating. We thought the business was going to fall apart. And our accountant said to us, every time this happens, this is your education. Don't look at
Mm.
it like you fucked up. Don't look at it like you failed. Every single time this kind of thing happens, it is your education. You didn't go to business school. This is your business school. Every failure, every challenge, it's just an example to learn from and to move. Right?
So there's a young lady opening a Ukrainian cafe there in Asheville, Svetlana, and I'm
Yeah.
Svetlana.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've had a few combos with her, yeah.
dude, I had her on this podcast, and she
Oh,
said
good.
the term. It gives me chills right now thinking about. I love this term so much. I told her I'm stealing this from you, and I'll try to remember to give you credit. But she calls those types of challenges experience assets. And I think
Uh,
that's such a
mm.
great because that's what your account like. First of all, 14 grand, you saved a lot of money versus paying for business school tuition right there. But
Yeah.
you know,
That wasn't the only one. Let's be
yeah,
clear.
I know, but they do add up. But they are. My grandfather used to say the best wit bought wit, and that's I mean that's just like life lessons, right? And but the thing is, it's your your mentality and your attitude about how you choose to
Truly.
handle those situations is critical, and that is something that is um, we all get to make that choice on how am I going to handle this. And some may handle things like that easier than others, but it is, and I talk to my kids about this, like you're going to have some really hard things, and you can either run from them or run into them. There's this thing I heard recently, which I really love, was the cows and bison out on the plains when there's a storm coming. You got to herd a cow, herd a cattle, and you got to herd a bison. And they sense the storm coming. Cows run away, but they're slow and they can't run that far and they get tired. So the storm eventually catches them, and then they're still running from it. So they just spend all this time and all this energy just dealing with it. They're gonna have to deal with it. They just don't want to, so they try to run. The bison are like the only species that run into the storm, and it passes by quickly, and then they're done. Which is like such a great. It's a true. It actually happens that way. They're like one of the only species in nature that does that. But it's such a great metaphor for how are you going to handle this. This challenge. I mean, I mean, again, it goes back to like I'm 21. I mean, I can't imagine when I were 21, if my girlfriend got probably like, oh, I don't know what I would have done, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was like, oh fuck.
I'm sure you were, but you dealt with it, dude. And like we need a lot. We need more people to take accountability and own things and lean into them. And that's such an important thing. And if you have that mentality, it's going to make those challenges last less time, and it's going to make you more resilient for that next challenge. And
Resilience, and you're exactly right. And that's what we're talking about is like maybe we should rephrase being bullish to being bisonish, but I mean, it is the challenge. Every challenge makes you more resilient and more the fear of failure more and more innocuous.
that's right.
Because
And
when you realize that failure is not something to be afraid of, like it does. Okay, maybe you lose a couple $100,000. You know what? You get up and you try again.
well, look, I mean, of anywhere in the world, be grateful you're here in this country where you do have the opportunity to get up and try again and do it again and do it again. That's
Agreed.
another quote my granddad always said was, it's only money and you can always make more of that. I mean, it's true. Like you can.
True.
So, and listen, but the reason this is so germane to this conversation is because, I've been doing this podcast for 15 years now, and we've done over 600 episodes, and I can tell you, I've never owned a restaurant. When I started the podcast, I thought I wanted to one day, and I was like, oh, I'll learn from all these people, and then I'll figure out how to do it, and blah blah. You got to have a lot of resilience to own restaurants. It takes that. It takes not just daily, because there's all these things that can happen on any given day, but then you have things that come up like COVID, or that are just completely unplanned black swan events that you can either let it crush you or let it educate you and inform you on how to get better. But that's a very common trait with every successful tenure.
I think COVID was the best opportunity that a lot of people in small business and whatever their development was, it was the best opportunity a lot of people had in our lifetime, I think. And I mean, I think the same thing about the hurricane we just experienced here in Asheville. It's like those things are opportunities. COVID was a huge opportunity. How many people across the business world just skyrocketed through COVID?
Yeah.
Quite a
Yeah.
number. Quite a number, because and I don't, it would be something that would be really interesting to look into and consider, but it's that running into the storm. What do? Do you turn around and run away from it, or do you look at it and run into it? And anybody with a business mind, a business with a mind to running into the challenge is always going to come out stronger. I think, the old adage is grow when everything is contracting is when the smart people lean into growing.
As Warren Buffett puts it, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I haven't heard that quote. That's a great one.
Warren Buffett.
Of course. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of his, I think it's, I mean, that's if you can adapt that mindset and be thoughtful about that, tougher times are good times to double down and lean into
Mhm.
what you're doing.
Mhm.
Because it will unfortunately break a lot of others. Well, so how many restaurants do you have there in Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably best to start at the beginning. Alicia and I opened. We came back to Asheville in 2004, and kind of bummed around a little bit trying to figure out exactly what to do. Asheville in 2004, I was being offered sous chef positions at like $12 an hour.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. I interviewed for a pastry chef position for $8.50 an hour at a hotel that no longer exists. And I was just like, yeah, this we're gonna have to figure something else out here. And we considered moving to the Bay Area, but honestly, we already owned a wonderful house here with a decent piece of property, and Alicia didn't want to leave. The kids needed to be here. Much better place to have a family. And I found this guy that was in the process of opening a cafe in downtown Asheville, and he was just going to be a coffee shop during the day. And I was like, hey, why don't I do a simple restaurant at night? We'll share the lease. Um, and he'll help pay the rent. And it seemed like a good deal. Fast forward about 4 months into build out, he and I pulled all the permits. We're in the process of a build out. Luckily, this guy also had a construction background, but turned out to be a pretty severe addict. His
Mm.
his end of the bargain fell apart due to his struggles, and I was left holding the lease. And truly, the best thing that's happened to me career wise ever. Um, Alicia and I just took it and ran with it. We were able to open table for about $120,000. I did basically all of the work with one friend to get it open, and we opened it with a co-chef, Matt Dawes, who now owns and runs Bull and Beggar.
Mm. Yeah.
Went to college with him. We opened table in the spring of 2005, and just fucking right place, right time. I mean, really, we were, it's never been a high profit restaurant, but we were making money by month three, and it supported us and our family for many years. But I would say the day after we opened, Alicia and I realized we weren't serving food for a living. We were figuring out where the money was going to come from for a living. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a rude awakening, and it really was like the second week we were like, "Oh shit, this is not what we thought it was," and in a good way. And I mean,
What was different? What do you mean it was not what you thought it was?
I thought I was going to be having fun making food, serving people food, writing menus, putting food in front of my friends, and making this place and space for people to eat and have fun and bring what Matt and Alicia and I thought Asheville needed from our experiences traveling the world and going to culinary school. And, both Matt and I brought our Southern upbringing to the table, but a love for European and farm to table eating. And I thought that's what I was doing. I thought I was doing this thing that I loved, that I was passionate about. But I pretty much immediately realized like that's not the reality of the situation. I get to do that, but that's peripheral to the objective of business. And
Mm.
I didn't understand that opening a business was opening a business. It doesn't matter what it is. Like at the end of the day, rent's got to get paid, debt's got to get paid, and employees have to be paid. And it doesn't matter if you're serving food or selling shoes or putting shingles on a roof. Like that's the objective of the business, is hoping there's enough money at the end of the day to pay everything and maybe pay your own mortgage.
120 grand. Did you borrow money or friends and family?
Um, when we opened table, so when we were still in college, we bought a property here in Asheville back when you could buy a house for 130 grand.
Okay.
And we lived in New York for a few years. And when we came back, the market had changed drastically, and we were able to flip that house. And we made a really good amount of money. So we were able to we made 200 grand basically. So we
Mm.
took 100 grand, we opened a restaurant, we took another 100 grand and bought a rundown house. And Alicia and I, the year before we opened Table, we remodeled the house that I still live in that we bought for that 100 grand. And so that we had that money to open Table. And I think we took a small bank loan back then. If I recall correctly, we probably took about a 50 grand bank loan back pre 2008 when you could still get a business loan to open a restaurant.
Yeah.
Wasn't much, but it was probably 50 grand if I recall. Alicia would remember, but it was around 50 grand. Um, and yeah, that's how we opened Table. And that was 2005, 2007, 8. A little cafe bodega around the corner from my house went out of business. And it was right before the crash. We figured out how to buy it. We bought this little cafe, got into it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that they crashed in the middle of the night and the two owners disappeared.
Mm.
We bought it from one of the owners we were able to owner finance most of it and get in there. We walked into a cafe with rotten milk exploding in walk-in coolers. I mean, they had walked away from it. And that became our second restaurant back then. 2008, we opened. It was called Todd's Tasties. That restaurant is now All Day Darling.
Okay.
But over the intervening years, we opened a craft cocktail and charcuterie bar, hip hop bar called Imperial Life. It's still in operation. We sold that a few years ago. I opened Cultura with Wicked Weed and AB InBev.
Yeah.
Got a James Beard nomination for Best New Restaurant on that one. Let's see. In 2015, I think I launched a consulting business, and have opened probably 5 restaurant concepts around the Southeast with that consulting business. And in 2018, I kind of shuttered that and moved those efforts into a partnership with a real estate development company in Atlanta, who was buying up property here in Asheville.
Mm.
And so I've been working with them since about 2019 on design and planning on all their developments across the country. But the big things we do with them together are numerous hotel projects here in Asheville. So we have the Radical Hotel. I don't own the dirt there, but I am responsible and opened and operate all the food and beverage in the Radical. We have a property over near Pisa called Zelda Dearest. We have some food and beverage complements there. We're in the process of design and development on our next hotel property here. And All Day Darling, we should get into. All Day Darling over on our Montford property. We closed Todd's Tasties after 10 years in 2018 and opened that project. And it was my first foray into figuring out a different way to be in ownership. Really in 2016, when I turned 40, was really kind of the cusp of life changing for me. Our marriage was starting to suffer. Alicia was going to law school. And I really wanted to do something different than living and working the sole proprietor life. Struggling to make ends meet, scrounging up cash every time I wanted to do a project, begging for money here, for there, and decided it was time to try to do something in a partnership share, raising equity, looking for investors. And so All Day Darling kind of marks the first time I went out and found other people's money to do a project. And it's really changed my life and my career drastically. Like the 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 ability or the structure in which every dime is not my responsibility is truly allows me to sleep at night. So
Huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
huge. You know, Alicia and I own somewhere around 40% of that business, I think 45% of that business. And we're about to open numerous more, and we're definitely making sure that the structure stays where Alicia and I own 50%, because owning 40 does put us in a little bit of vulnerability. Luckily, one of the other key investors is a family member, so that keeps us at least gives us some advantage. But honestly, like every restaurant I've ever had has tight times. I think every small business has tight times. And when you face one of those tight times where you need a capital raise, there's so much, what's the word I want to look for? It's just so much easier to breathe when you know, okay, I need 50 grand, or I need 20 grand, or I need 100 grand, whatever your capital needs are to get through a cash flow crunch. When you know it's not all my responsibility, and I'm going to go to my investor book and I'm going to look at my whole base, and I'm going to send them out an email and say, here's where we are, what do we want to do? Do we need to take a line of credit? Does everybody want to pony up 3, 5, whatever grand it is? And it's, then COVID hits, and instead of being like, oh, we're fucked, it's like, hey guys, it's gonna be hard, but here's my plan. I want to put 50 grand in the bank, and I want to push hard into these things. Who's with me? Who's not with me? What do we want to do here? And like, truly changes the game.
Mm.
So,
Oh, there's so much I want to unpack out of this. Well, first of all, dude, you opened a restaurant. Lucky, like not lucky, just fortunate timing. Sold that house before 2007.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, Opened a restaurant. And then you opened one in 08, 09. Not an easy time. Once again, not
dude.
an easy time for our economy. Not an easy time for restaurants. Like very
I'm gonna tell you right now, 2009 is the hardest time of my life. Period.
2009.
COVID could not touch it. No way. 2009 was the hardest time of my life.
Why is that? Why was it so much harder?
Well, I was young, first of all. I was young in business. I think we were 32, 33. We'd only been in business, 4.5, 5 years. And I didn't know that the economy goes like this all the time. I had no idea. Now I understand, like, the economy is on this like 8 to 12 years cycle all the time. Like, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad soon. We know this. I didn't know that. And so like we we were able to keep our restaurants open just only because we were so scrappy in those days.
Mm.
Alicia and I could do everything. We had a couple key people, and I mean, truly, Alicia and I ran both restaurants, period. Like, I would cook by myself at table. She would run the cafe by herself every morning. Like, we figured it out, but that was a hard time. What kind of business were you in at that point?
We started Schedule Fly in 2007. Uh, so serving restaurants, but we had been, there were five of us, and we had all been part of a company that was acquired by a public company, and it sucked. Like, sucked, right? Because we had this company with 40 people, and then Dun and Bradstreet bought us and destroyed
Oh
the,
shit.
yeah, and all that stuff. And so we had a little bit of financial flexibility, fortunately, that we could do this and bootstrap it and just kind of roll. Didn't pay ourselves anything for a few years, all that kind of jazz. But
Yeah.
so I was a little bit not oblivious to it, but I mean, I lost my ass on some real estate during
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We had just started getting into, with our spare cash, getting into residential real estate. We only had one property, thank fucking God.
yeah,
But that was the thing that almost actually sunk us. With the restaurants, we could get our way through. The real estate we had started buying was the noose around our neck for a long time.
yeah, that was tough. That was
It
a
was a
tough
tough time.
sucked if you had. that was where you were expecting to generate equity or cash flow or whatever in real estate.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
oh man, well, so kudos. I mean, so getting through that again, resilience. You mentioned words gritty, like, and that's I think that's an important lesson for people that are listening to this podcast that are young, either starting restaurants or considering starting restaurants. Is you know, you're just going to have to grit your way through it. That's just really all, unless you're just very lucky and very, very, very well capitalized. And I would actually argue that it's better to, in a weird way, it's better to not be well capitalized when you are first starting, when you were young. And I'd say that in any business. Like Marwan started Chai Pani with like, I mean, like
Nothing.
it's nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, we were starting right around the same time.
yeah, I mean, I think he said they had like $200
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
bank after, and like they
yeah,
ran out of food the first, all this
yeah,
stuff. Like,
yeah.
but it gives you, it forces you to do the stuff you need to do to really understand the business like
Agree.
fully and comprehensively so that you can apply those lessons and not make those mistakes as you grow. Better to learn it then than to have access to a bunch of capital early on and happen to deploy that at a good time in the economy. Because then when the bad time in the economy comes, you're probably going to have big problems.
Yeah, and I've had this brilliant luxury to do it that way, but then also do all this consulting work where I've opened restaurants for firms that were highly capitalized that I was like, here's your
Yeah, right.
here's your development package. This is what this restaurant's going to cost you. And they're like, oh, okay, sure. We can do it for 4 million. I'm like, you're not going to call me out on this kitchen design? Like, what's up? Do
Yep.
you and
But
like
that's their capital. I mean,
right,
most, right? Like
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I don't mean my real estate firm that I work for now. I mean and that's why I really love working for and with the company I work now is we try to really balance um uh the entrepreneurial edge instead of just a VC kind of
Mhm.
manner of looking at things. We really try to do our development from an entrepreneurial lens where, yeah, we're opening a big property, we're developing and building a big property, but it needs to work. And restaurants don't work if you throw a bunch of money at them. They just don't. Like I'm so grateful, and I bring this up all the time. I'm so grateful for where I am in my career because I can open my own restaurants now and breathe easy. I open the doors and I know that I have enough money in the bank to get through the first 6 months. Just like we're talking about with marijuana, like we opened table and we were just glad we made it to the end of construction without being that negative. And when we opened the doors, we literally had zero money. We were like, okay, well, we hope the first dinner service works so we can buy something tomorrow. And I had no idea. I truly had no idea that like that's not really how you're supposed to open business. Like you
Yep.
need to open business with money in the bank. Like, and but we learn, we live and we learn, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, ideally, you should probably have like what, like 6 months worth of working capital at least, probably when you get
Yeah,
started.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because there's so many things you can't predict. You can write a super thorough and detailed business plan, dot all your I's, cross all your T's, and there's just
yeah,
going to be stuff that you can't plan for. Well, so you mentioned Paiza. So
yeah,
I want to talk about Tyler Koch because I just got to know Tyler a couple months ago.
yeah,
He came on the podcast. I have I really like Tyler a lot. I admire him and I respect him. I love his hustle and what I really like about Tyler, and I think this is such an important part of being an entrepreneur, is his willingness and vigorous interest in learning and being a sponge and
yeah,
soaking up, checking his ego. I mean, he has a good, healthy ego, which you need, but you also need to go, okay, there's things I don't know, and I want to know those things, and I want to learn from other people. And
hmm
I'm willing to ask all the questions and learn from all the people that have done this. So I hopefully don't, make some of the mistakes. I mean, I sat there at dinner with him in Charleston at Hall's Chop House with George and Amanda from Vicious Biscuit, and he had heard them on the podcast. He wanted to meet them, so we all met down in Charleston and had dinner. And it was so awesome listening to these veteran restaurant people give him advice. Oh, you're going to franchise. Let's talk about FDD. Let me talk about real estate, and him just soaking that up. And I think that's a very important part of like the confluence of confidence, but willingness to know that you don't know everything, I think is an important part of any entrepreneurial effort, especially in restaurants. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think these are life lessons, right? Like,
Yeah.
uh, humble confidence is our goal because hubristic confidence gets you ultimately it's failure. Whether it's business or life, like you're going to fail at your interpersonal relationships, you're going to fail at marriage, you're going to fail at partnership, you're going to fail at business. If you're living through your confidence with hubris, you're going to run into those walls because you're not open and expansive to the world and the people around you. But if you can funnel a balance of humility and confidence, it's where we find success in everything. And I like business is just another part of life. Business is just another relationship that the world gives us to operate within. I have a buddy that I like to spend time with talking. He's a little older than I am. He's a civil engineer. He's done incredibly well for himself. Born, raised over here in the mountains, redneck. Went to state, wanted to study art. His dad refused to let him study art. He went to state, got an engineering degree, came back to Asheville, launched a civil engineering firm. I mean, essentially, like became the biggest civil engineering firm in Asheville, was bought out by a huge Charlotte company, has done incredibly well for himself. And all along the way, every time a client couldn't pay a bill, he's like, all right, well, give me 25% of your dirt.
Mm.
And so now the guy's got like fucking property everywhere. He said something to me. What he said to me was, I work with engineers and they all think they're the smartest person in the room, always.
Mm.
When my fortunes changed was when I was tired of being the smartest person in the room and I started really listening to everybody in the room, no matter who they were. They had something to say that I could learn from. That's when everything changed.
There's a saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly right. That's a great story. Good for him. And he wanted to study art. That's cool
Yep.
because he's obviously like
He's right and left, right?
well equipped in both sides of his
Yeah,
brain.
yeah, he's right and left, and that's what. So he's like, he's not just you're taking creativity into a linear business world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, all these things for me, man, all these things are about life. Like it's just like if you're learning how to live life, you can learn how to do business better.
See, man, I love this conversation so much, Jacob, because we're not getting into like all the granularity of like how to be successful in the restaurant business. We're getting into how to be successful in business and life. And if all these principles, that we're talking about will at a macro level, if you're in that space, it's going to help you be successful in the restaurant business or any business. Restaurants, I will say, I think restaurants in some ways are the most challenging types of business that you can run, but also the most rewarding. And I believe very strongly that a well-run, thoughtful, intentional restaurant is an, an extremely important part of the fabric of any great community. I mean, why is Asheville this great town? You can't start rattling off why is Asheville great for very many reasons before you start getting in all these cool restaurants and breweries and boutique hotels. Like hospitality is like, man, it is the heartbeat uh, of our culture. And one of the things I'm super curious to get your thoughts on is we've now gotten to a place where we spend an inordinate amount of time on screens, and we are becoming very disconnected from humanity. And it has very deleterious, horrible downstream effects in our culture. And I would say even in our economy, or it is going in that direction. I'm always an optimist. Um, but I do think that even my kids who are 19, well, excuse me, 21, 18, and 16, they even see it. Like I kind of had the guinea pig generation of kids where it was like my kids kind of came around when they were at that age when the iPhone came out and we're trying to figure out like
Mm-hmm.
give them one and what.
Same, yeah, same.
Yeah, but they're even noticing now. They're like, my 21-year-old daughter's like, she's like, I took TikTok off my, I can't. It's all this,
I mean,
nonstop.
it's truly designed to eat your brain.
It's designed to eat your brain. And I believe very much, like you and I get it because we grew up in an analog time. We had our formative years in an analog time. And so we get like we kind of have the nostalgia and we remember what that was like. But even my kids, like they watch Stranger Things and they're like, I wish I lived then.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, because they weren't on their phones. They didn't have them. But we need this human connection very much. And I do believe that restaurants, particularly thoughtful, intentional, locally owned restaurants, are the last bastion of where we can get that. And this coffee shop, the Daily Grind that I just came from, I go there every day not because their coffee's so great. Coffee's fine, whatever. I go there because the feeling I get when I'm there and the presence of the staff and the engagement I get. And I need that. And everybody needs that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's in a really, really critical time for us to provide those spaces and places where people can go get off of that crap and interact with each other, friend to friend, family member to family member, customer to staff. I know
Yeah,
you.
it's this concept that comes out of the Black community, post Civil War Jim Crow era. They called the pub or the roadhouse or the whatever, the music room, whatever, they called it the third room, right?
Third room.
Because you had home, you had church, and then you had the third room, and that's where you were safe. And the
Mm-hmm.
third room was the corner bar, basically.
Yep.
And the more that we digitize the world, and the more that AI kind of takes over what we're doing, the more important the third room is. And that is food and beverage. It's food and beverage and entertainment. And you see that in the real estate development world. I've been seeing it now in my work with the real estate development world. The vast majority of businesses that would have been tenants in real estate developments are meaningless because of the digitization and AI. And what's working in real estate is what I think is what we're seeing, what we're going to see, where the important movement for human interaction is, and that's in food and beverage and wellness.
Amen.
I
Amen.
mean, that is where we're connecting with other human beings. Yeah, you can go out and take a run and stay healthy and fit, but unless you're going out and taking a run with a group of dudes and you're getting some contact and some support from your men's group, or you're going to a workout class and you're working out with a wonderful mix of 20-year-old men and women to 80-year-old men and women, and you're connecting with the community, that's where the sphere of wellness really works. And the same with restaurants and bars. If you're going to a bar with a bunch of college kids, cool, yeah, you're having fun. But if you're going to your corner restaurant or your corner coffee shop and you're meeting 10-year-olds and you're meeting 18-year-olds that are in college, and you're sitting down and having a 55-year-old retired guy that reads his math book text every day, like that's where we're getting our community, because it's kind of falling apart in other places. So we have to support this and lean into it for sure.
Talk about, I want to, you mentioned health and wellness as one of those types of tenets. And then you talked about that at the beginning, that's important to you. I'd love to just rap with you about that. I'm 51 now and I'm like super obsessed with um, keeping my body in good physical shape and what I put into my body and how I treat my body. And I,
Absolutely. Before I get into that, I'm going to jump to my phone. You see, I connected my phone because my charger. I'm having
oh
technical
yeah, dude, no
over
problem.
here. Give
Yeah.
me some.
Gotcha.
Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right. Yeah, fitness, I think being fit to some degree has always been important to me. I'm a lifelong cyclist, and like just being able to get on my bike and ride has always been important. But I think around the same time I brought up earlier, 2016, I turned 40. I don't know about you when you turned 40, but for me, turning 40 was really when like mortality became so much more obvious. I mean, I was fit as hell and I could do whatever I wanted at 40, but like I could see the horizon where that maybe wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And I would run into college buddies or I'd run into high school buddies, and I'd look at them and I'd be like, man, we're the same age. And it's just been, I knew that to do my career, then I was still actively chefing and actively cooking. I don't have to stand on the line much anymore, thank God. But I knew in order to do my job that I had to be both at my peak physical fitness, but also my peak mental fitness. The peak of my ability to be resilient required physical fitness and self work.
Mm,
And
yes.
for me, the entrance was yoga. I mean, I've always been a cyclist and I've always lifted weights. I've always taken care of myself. But my entrance into that world was yoga. I just happened to be Asheville's a great place for it, and I had some great friends.
Yeah.
And
Right.
at first, I was like, I'll just go do this, so I'm maybe better at cycling. And then I was like, oh shit, I actually vibe with this. It's cool. Like maybe that cool's not the right word, but like I vibe with this, and it has something to teach me. And it's really like it has been the entrance for me into teaching me that there is a more balanced way to live, and it's led to like cutting out alcohol. And now I have a glass of wine with dinner. I like a martini, but I don't drink like I did for the first half of my life.
Yeah.
Um, and then I started realizing, oh, you know what? If I think cleaner, my body's cleaner. How do I
Mhm.
think cleaner? And then I started realizing the more I leaned into that, the better I was at managing people. The more I could funnel that kind of energy into having a conversation with an employee and get somewhere. If I can be balanced enough to have a conversation and see every employee's perspective, regardless of right or wrong. Who cares? If I can, if every conversation I have with a manager, I can see their perspective, I can actually get somewhere with teaching them how to manage in a better way. So I was teaching myself to manage in a better way so that I could teach other managers how to manage in a better way. And everything just started working better.
How did you do that when you talk about thinking cleaner? What are some of the things you did to learn to grow into that?
Not falling prey to all of the thoughts that are led by fear. Um, we talk about this expansive mindset or a contractive mindset, and like think you're going to be rich and you're going to be rich, whatever it is. Um, Having an expansive mindset for me has meant recognizing the thoughts that are have their provenance in fear and giving validity to the fear, but not letting the fear be how I make the next move. Observe those moments of fear or anxiety and say, okay, but what's the solution? Yes,
Yeah.
this thing could happen. Yes, I could fuck this up. Yes, I could get sued. Yes, I could lose money. Yes, I could upset this person. Even as micro as like, if I tell this person I don't like the way they cut the onion, they might be upset about it. Like
Yeah.
that's not the way I'm going to think. The way I'm going to think is yes, but let's find a solution to this.
Mhm.
And I think that we keep talking about challenge and the education of challenge, the education of failure, and building resilience. It is choosing to not be afraid of finding a solution and doing something different.
Running into the storm.
Running into the storm, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an important part of this. I had somebody tell me once on this podcast, he said, Will, you can every every decision you make, every part of your life, you can live in fear or you can live in love. And that was his way of putting it. He was like, I choose to live in love. Like I'm
Yep.
gonna, it's just a different way of saying the same thing. But I've always thought that because you have your anxieties, you have your fears, and I think you just said something that's really replicatable and tactical, which is you have to acknowledge them, but don't just acknowledge them and then ruminate on them. Go, okay, sure, but what am I going to do? Um,
Right.
there's a great.
Mark.
Go ahead.
Oh, go. No, go.
I was just going to say there's a great clip on YouTube. It's my favorite 3 minutes on YouTube. It's with Jocko Willink,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
and it's called Good. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't. I've
Oh,
listened to
dude.
him a handful of times.
Google Jocko Willink Good. It's like 3 minutes, but he talks about how every time one of his when he was a SEAL team commander, and every time somebody would come to him with like, "Oh, we got this problem or that problem," and his response every single time, "Good," and
Yeah. Yeah.
good because it
Yeah.
gives you this gives us an opportunity to overcome this challenge and learn and grow and get better. But
Mhm.
I mean, dude, I'll put it to you this way: I like that so much, and I try to train my brain to think that way so much that this freaking flip phone, it does have a like a web browser. It's very hard to get anything on here, but I do have Jocko Good bookmarked on here. And I will sit there at night sometimes or in the mornings, like mornings when I'm like, oh man, I don't want to deal with all this crap I got to deal with today. And I'll watch that on my phone and I'm like, got it. Let's
Oh
go.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. I will. I'll listen to that. What I was going to say is, um, I don't know, sometime maybe 10 years ago or so, the concept of stoicism
Mm.
came into my consciousness, or somebody mentioned it, or, some other way I came across it. And so I can never get through a Marcus Aurelius book. Truly. I'm an avid reader, but I can pick it up and but his guidance in stoicism is be an observer.
Mhm.
And yoga teaches the same thing. Observe your thoughts, don't be your thoughts. So observe your
Yeah.
body, observe your physical response to everything. And you have a headache and you're like, I'll take Tylenol or I'll get over it. My choice is always like, I'm going to get over it. I don't need Tylenol. Okay, I have a bad thought. I'm going to observe that thought. I'm not going to do something like have a drink to cover up that thought. I'm going to observe that thought. I'm going to let that thought be just like a toothache or a headache. It's going to go away. The thought is no different than if I stub my toe, and tomorrow the toe is going to be fine. I'm going to have that negative thought. I'm going to observe it, and I'm not going to be the thought.
Have you ever read any of Ryan Holiday's books?
No.
Ego is the enemy is one. The
Yes. Okay, I've
obstacle
seen
is
it.
the way. It's
Yeah.
like modern
The
stoicism.
Obstacle is the Way is one of his books?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I've never read them.
I mean, that's like the only I can't read the Stoics either. But this is sort of like him taking that into a modern approach of teaching the same lessons. He's really good
Hmm.
at it. I mean, he's I don't know how many books he's written now, but quite a few. But his stuff's really good. Robert Greene has some good stuff too. 33 Strategies for War. That's kind of cool if you just like to learn how like great military leaders overcame big challenges and things like
Hmm.
that. But
Hmm.
yeah, Ryan Holiday's got some great stuff. So let me ask you about this, man. You mentioned like you drink less now. I drink less now. I know a lot of people that drink less now, partially because we're getting older, but partially because you know, like Andrew Huberman's got a big influence and and he's like, never drink, it's poison. And
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I think a little bit of quote poison is actually like in small doses is actually good. Helps your body. You need like little small acute stressors. It helps your body. deal with those things and adapt better. But there is a trend of drinking less. So how does that inform your concepts? And as you think about, your next place that you're putting in and how alcohol, which is typically a high margin part of a restaurant business, like how does that change and how is that evolving?
That's a really good question, and we haven't really delved into like I have more to share in what I've learned in the restaurant business and what makes money and what doesn't make money. And this is a horizon that we are looking at. It's already affecting the bottom line in a lot of my restaurants, and I'm hearing it from a lot of people. I've worked in the brewery world when I was culinary director with Wicked Weed and AB InBev, and I'm connected in those worlds, and I still talk to them and understand what's going on. We are seeing a trend away from drinking, and it's great. But I was learning simultaneously to this trend happening. You hear the adage, I don't know about you, but when I was getting into the restaurant business and everybody in the restaurant business was like, don't fucking do that. Don't do that. You hear feed the masses, eat with the rich, feed the rich and eat with the masses, right? And
That's interesting.
it didn't matter. I wanted to open the restaurant I wanted to open. I wanted to open this kind of fancy restaurant that Table was because that's what I wanted to do. But now that I have done all the things I've done, and I have this concept all day, darling, that we are on the cusp of growing. We're about to go shovel down on our second location, full property development there. Alicia and I bought the property some time ago, and we're negotiating a Black Mountain location. We're negotiating a Greenville location right now. This is the concept we're leading into. It's an all-day cafe. We serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have a full bakery department. Coffee is the important beverage. We sell beer, we sell wine. Coffee is the important beverage. We have some health tonic kind of lemonades and stuff that are specifically geared towards post-workout. Like that's what we're leaning into. And I don't know if it was accident or serendipity. I don't know. I just knew that that's what the neighborhood where our first one is in needed when I did it. And alcohol is 12% of our annual sales, maybe 11 and a half. If we didn't sell alcohol, the restaurant would still be profitable.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it grosses almost 3x what Table does
Huh.
in less square footage.
Okay.
And it runs a 19 to 24% profit margin
19 to 24%.
with alcohol. Not even, I mean, alcohol is not an appreciable part of the business.
That's your growth driver. Do you plan to franchise that?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know. Do you know Andrew Nelig that launched Sauna House, open Sauna House, and is growing Sauna House big?
Know of him?
Okay, he's a very good friend, and he's on a big growth trajectory, and he's growing two-pronged. He's growing in company stores and franchise stores, and I watch what he deals with. And Richard King, who has a restaurant here in Black Mountain called Pure and Proper, he owns the franchises in South Carolina for White Duck. And I think franchising's been pretty good to him. But those are my two close friends that are in that world, and I see their struggles with the franchise model. And right now, my inclination is I don't want to open 100 stores. I don't give a shit about that. I don't even want to open 20 stores. Like 6.
Yeah.
I want to be in North Carolina. 6 is great. So I don't know that franchising makes sense. I think growing with intention on a company level where we can hopefully continue to buy the property as we build our stores is the way to support my leadership team. We're a small company. It's Alicia and myself, and we have a minority partner who's a chef with us. We're about to add another minority partner who will be operations. And beyond that, we intend to keep the leadership team at a core, maybe 6 people. 6 stores will do great for us for years to come. I don't know that we need more than that. That's what right now feels good. Now, holler back at me in 3 years when we have 4 open. I might be singing a different tune. I don't know.
That's interesting. Well, I think you have a really smart approach to that of just measured, thoughtful, take your time. If opportunities to franchise or grow more later, you change your mind, great. But gosh, with those kinds of margins, man, that's freaking awesome. I hope you'll come down to the Charlotte area, man.
We we have looked. I've been down with do you know the Mission Pizza folks? Jeff and Peyton, have you chatted with them at all?
I don't know them, but I think one or both of the locations use a schedule fly. I know that. That's how I know the name. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Peyton is the chef, started Mission Pizza in Winston. His brother Jeff is a semi-retired real estate developer. Jeff opened the location here. Jeff and I were looking at locations for a while down in Charlotte. I'd love to get with you on it. I don't understand Charlotte. So I've had some reluctance to break into it. So we've decided we're going to do Greenville. We're going to let Greenville be our first out of market experience, and then we'll look at Charlotte.
I just realized I was wrong. I was thinking of a different concept. I know about Mission Pizza because I know that they were in Winston and they were coming to Asheville, and there was the building across from Chaipani. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Is anything? I know there was a guy that I know.
Supposedly, I mean, dude, that's a fucking quagmire over there. That the folks that opened it originally just, I mean, I think they sunk 7 mil into that with the property, but they sunk 7 mil into the property and the build out, and you can't get that out of a restaurant. You're just and subsequently every time that a deal is tried to go through, there's too much loss and debt on that somebody is trying to recoup to make it worthwhile. I heard recently that somebody's doing some sort of pop-up something in it, which is meaningless, I mean, that's not going to account for much, but as far as I know, nothing is happening there still.
I know the dude who owns that building. He lives out in Boulder. And he's yeah, I mean it's a long and
Are
interesting
you are you friendly with that guy?
yeah,
Okay.
Stratton. I haven't I know
Okay.
Stratton pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
lives in
he helped a friend do it, is that right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
And I've met and chatted with that guy a couple of times.
Gone.
Yeah.
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 So uh well it's an interesting building. I mean like but yeah, it's I mean they have like it was like a bomb it was like bombed out like it
Oh
was
yeah.
three
Yeah,
walls
for
like
forever.
forever.
Forever. Well,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that it's a weird block, it's a weird location over there. Buxton never really did well. It got a lot of love as a concept, but it never really did well. Marijuana has been able to finally turn that around by moving, this gold medal brand over there into that building, and now they're killing it. Um, but it took a long time.
Are they doing well? Is it attracted people back? Because it seemed like that was like kind of this cool area when Buxton went in there, and then you had like the Vortex Donuts and Cabarrus, but it was like a lot of stuff going on, and then like everything just went. Whoosh.
I don't know. COVID really did hurt the South Slope pretty badly.
Yeah.
I left the brewery world when COVID hit to focus on my own concepts. So I connect with the Wicked Weed folks periodically, and they have finally been able to dig their building out of the hole it was over there. They have the Funkatorium over there.
Yep.
They never really reopened Cultura in a true manner. They did like supper club stuff there, and they did Thursday through Sunday dinners there for a while, and they've completely shuttered the brand the Cultura brand altogether now. But the last time I spoke to them, the Funkatorium building was finally getting to the numbers they needed it to see.
Mm.
I don't know what other people are doing over there. Chai Pani is doing great. They're doing great over there. I don't know if anybody else is doing great on the South Slope, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't. There's the Asheville Sports Club. They're making it work, but they're decently well capitalized. Those ladies own Ben's Tune Up also, and I think they have other things going on that helps inform their cash flow. I don't know. Asheville's an interesting market. I mean, and maybe everything's an interesting market. It's just the one. It's just the one I know. Like I said, I've opened a number of concepts for other companies in other places, but I didn't really have to do my market research because I was coming into a situation where a restaurant group or a capital group was like, "Hey, we want this thing. Can you deliver on this thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'll build you this concept." I wasn't doing the market research. I only know the Asheville market.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like every town, it's idiosyncratic from street to street.
Well, yeah, we should connect sometime, or if you're ever going to come to Charlotte, or if you and Tyler come down here. I mean, Charlotte's interesting. I would think something like what you're doing in Fort Mill or Rock Hill or some of these outer lying areas that are just freaking taking off. Maybe, but I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I do
Well,
have a,
no, All Day Darling is I'm looking at where is the most popular fitness and yoga studio? That's where All Day Darling is going. Like, how many houses are close? How many front doors are within a mile? That's what I'm looking at. I'm not interested in downtown. I'm not interested in the nightlife district. I'm interested in where are the yoga moms going after they drop their kids off at school?
yeah, you in Charlotte. I don't, well, I need to get you in touch with my buddy Trey
Okay.
Morgan. Yes,
Okay.
he owns a real estate development company. He's been here forever. He's been in the business for decades. Does stuff all throughout the Southeast. Knows the area real well. I mean, you've got a lot of. How do you compete with I mean, First Watch would be something where you have
Yeah,
them in
exactly.
spots around.
But you see the Kindreds are trying to compete with it
Are they? What are they doing
with
that's competing with it?
milk bread.
Oh, milk bread. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And it doesn't seem like they're growing it the way they intended to grow it, which is interesting. Have you been to one?
To a milk bread?
Yeah.
Once it's been a couple, the one up in Davidson,
Yeah.
I think with the original one, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not really the same concept because theirs is a little more fast food, fast casual, and
yeah,
All Day Darling is the, the people eat there 3 times a day
yeah,
because you can go and you can eat a salad, or you can go and you can drink a health tonic, or you can go and eat a hamburger and tater tots.
yeah.
And I'm not recreating the wheel by any means. It's just it is a neighborhood concept, and that's what's working here in Asheville. That's there's a handful of businesses that are crushing it, and most of them outside of Kurate and Chai Pani are neighborhood businesses. And I
Neighborhood
don't know
business.
what you guys are seeing in Charlotte, but that's what's working here is concepts that people in their neighborhood or in the adjacent neighborhoods feel like, I don't have to go deal with downtown. I don't have to go deal with South End. I don't have to go deal with Plaza Midwood or whatever. I can just walk over here, or I can get in the car and drive 3 miles over here, and it's easy.
Hmm.
That's what's working here.
And you want to own your real estate with this concept?
Well, we own our real estate in Asheville, and our Black Mountain deal. There will be a buy-in on the real estate. I'm not dead set as we go out of market because there's some reluctance on my part to buy real estate until I really understand the market.
Yeah,
But it kind of depends on who we connect with on the investment side. If we connect with some local investors in Greenville or Charlotte or Durham or wherever we're looking that have inclination towards property, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will tell you right now that for me and Alicia, our ability to be our financial stability has hinged on our property ownership.
Yeah.
When
Well,
when I write my lease to my own operating company, my business survives.
it's a big deal, man. And I got to tell you, like, dude, I could probably talk to you for another hour and I'll let you go. I actually have another episode to do at 10, but I'd love to have a follow up sometime because I think
Absolutely.
I do want to I literally had my buddies, Trey Morgan and Derek Copeland in studio here in Charlotte where Tyler came. We have a buddy who has a podcast studio and we just recorded, Monday, but Trey does real estate. Derek, is the financial side and Sentinel Growth Partners, they manage their clients' investments. Because I said you manage their money. They're like, no, we manage their investments. It's some technical, whatever. But my point is, like, they've got an operator that's in Charlotte that I think they've funded like 15 locations, like a really well-known operator. And they're involved with the real estate, the investment piece. But I got to tell you, man, we talked about a little bit of this on that episode and then a lot about it after that episode. It's like, this brings up a whole can of worms, which is we're in a weird time. And you mentioned the cyclicality of the economy. We got a boatload of debt. We're printing money like crazy. You want to own hard assets. I mean,
Yep.
like you just do. And I don't like
Yep.
the long prognosis of this, of like the further divide of like rich and poor and the middle class getting
Yep. Yep.
pushed out.
Yep.
But owning real estate, especially in the Southeast, especially in the Carolinas,
Yep.
is a good long play,
Yep.
unfortunately, in part because things are going to keep inflating because I think they're going
Yep.
to print money. But anyway, like
I
I've,
want to. I want to send you. Will you email me your cell phone number? I want to send you a text that was going around. I had dinner last night with three of my closest friends: Andrew from Sauna House, Alex Matisse, who's the founder of East Fork Pottery,
okay,
if you know that company,
heard of
and then my best friend John is a longtime real estate broker, but he 10 years ago launched a debt fund,
it.
and it's now the core part of his career, and he lends only on real estate, fully capitalized, basically high interest deals. I'm invested pretty deeply with his company. I also use his company when I need to, for lending. But we were having exactly this conversation, and I want to send you a text that we were sharing just about that. But I would love to meet these guys. I'd love to come down and meet these guys with you. That'd be great.
Let's do it. We'll just make it happen.
Yep.
I'll give you my
Yep.
cell. You can write it down right now. I mean, it's on our website. I give it to everybody. I don't care.
Okay.
It's 704 nine
Okay.
zero six
906.
906 2031. I've given it out on this podcast before. People listening know they can get in touch with me anytime. Happy to talk. Um, well, dude, this has been a freaking great conversation, Jacob. Thank you so
Absolutely,
much.
man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
send me a text and get down here. I'll get you dialed in with Trey and Derek and then I know another guy who like Brian Bucci. Trey does a lot of like they do a lot of like they'll do like a public center or whatever, and then they put in or they'll do
Yeah,
like a
totally.
private center. But then Brian, he buys like he'll go and buy a building, like a cool building that, I would imagine somewhere like maybe where like an all day cafe is like, and depending on where you go, but near yoga studio, and he'll buy it and develop it and partner with you in it and things like that too. So we'll get you dialed
That'd
in
be
with.
great. Love that.
All right, man. Well, my only request is go to your Apple podcast or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, find Restaurant Owners Uncorked, give it a rating. 5 stars would be cool. And then, because I've learned that like the more ratings you get, the more this, content gets distributed around by the algorithms, and people need to hear stuff like this, man. It's freaking
Totally.
awesome. So do
Totally.
that. And, those of you listening, thank you very, very much. What a great episode. More of these coming soon. I'm actually recording 3 more episodes today, 4 in a day, which is first for me. Thank y'all so much for listening. And Jacob, thank you for your time, man. And we'll connect offline. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate you. What a fun way to spend the morning. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. And thank you, Tyler. I know you're listening.
Yeah. Thanks, Tyler.
See y'all.
Shout out Paiza.
Eyes, ah. That's right.
All right. Have a good day, man.
You too. See ya.